On the cold morning of January 15, 1947, a young mother named Betty Berzinger was walking with her 3-year-old daughter along Norton Avenue in the Leimert Park neighborhood of Los Angeles. As she passed a vacant, weed-choked lot, something pale caught her eye near the sidewalk. At first she thought it was a discarded store mannequin, broken and abandoned. But as she looked closer, horror set in. It was the body of a young woman, severed at the waist, posed deliberately in the grass. Berzinger rushed to the nearest house and called the police in a panic. Within minutes, patrol cars descended on the quiet residential street, and Los Angeles was about to be gripped by a mystery that remains unsolved to this day: the murder of Elizabeth Short, soon to be known worldwide as the Black Dahlia. What detectives found at the scene shocked even hardened homicide veterans. The victim's body had been cut cleanly in half at the waist, drained completely of blood, and posed with her arms raised above her head. Her face bore deep lacerations that stretched from the corners of her mouth toward her ears, creating a ghastly, permanent smile later dubbed the Glasgow Smile by the press. There were no traces of blood at the scene itself, meaning she had been killed elsewhere and then transported to the empty lot. The precision of the cut suggested the killer possessed surgical knowledge or at least steady, practiced hands. Investigators immediately recognized this was no ordinary crime of passion but something far more calculated, methodical, and disturbing than anything Los Angeles had witnessed before. Because the body had no identification, police relied on fingerprints, which were wired to the FBI in Washington, D.C. for identification. Within hours, a match came back. The victim was Elizabeth Short, a 22-year-old aspiring actress originally from Medford, Massachusetts. She had come to Los Angeles chasing dreams of Hollywood stardom, like so many young women of her era. Friends described her as strikingly beautiful, with jet black hair and pale skin, always seen wearing dark clothing, which earned her the nickname Black Dahlia among acquaintances even before her death. Short had led a somewhat transient life, drifting between jobs, boyfriends, and cheap hotel rooms across Los Angeles. As reporters dug into her background, a portrait emerged of a lonely, ambitious young woman whose tragic end would soon overshadow everything else about her life. News of the murder spread like wildfire, and Los Angeles newspapers, locked in fierce competition, seized upon the case with ruthless enthusiasm. The Los Angeles Examiner and other outlets coined the name Black Dahlia, inspired by a recent film called The Blue Dahlia and Short's habit of wearing flowers in her dark hair. Reporters raced detectives to interview witnesses, sometimes even beating police to crucial leads. The gruesome nature of the crime, combined with Short's beauty and mysterious past, created a perfect storm for tabloid sensationalism. Newspapers ran daily updates, speculative theories, and photographs that captivated readers across the country. The case quickly transformed from a local homicide investigation into a national obsession, with the press essentially conducting its own parallel investigation, often complicating the official police work in the process. Just days after the murder, the case took a chilling turn when someone claiming to be the killer began contacting the press directly. A person mailed items belonging to Elizabeth Short, including her birth certificate, business cards, and photographs, to the Los Angeles Examiner, cut out letters pasted together to spell a message that read, "Here is Dahlia's belongings, letter to follow." This was followed by an actual letter, seemingly assembled from newspaper clippings, in which the writer taunted police and promised to turn himself in on a certain date, a promise never kept. Handwriting analysis and forensic examination of the package failed to conclusively identify a suspect. This bizarre correspondence suggested the killer was deliberately toying with investigators and the public, reveling in the attention his crime had generated, and deepening the sense of dread across the city. As panic and fascination gripped Los Angeles, police found themselves overwhelmed with an unprecedented number of confessions and tips. More than 60 people eventually confessed to the murder, many of them attention seekers with no real connection to the crime, forcing detectives to waste precious time and resources sorting fact from fiction. Among the more serious suspects was Robert "Red" Manley, the last person known to have seen Short alive, who had dropped her off at the Biltmore Hotel days before her death. Manley was interrogated extensively and even subjected to polygraph tests, but was ultimately cleared. Other suspects included doctors, former boyfriends, and even a suspected serial killer named Jack Anderson Wilder. Despite thousands of leads, hundreds of interviews, and immense public pressure, no single suspect could be definitively linked to the horrific crime through solid evidence. Despite the massive manpower devoted to the case, with dozens of detectives assigned and thousands of hours logged, the investigation began to stall within months. Forensic science in 1947 was far more limited than today, lacking DNA testing or advanced trace analysis that might have identified the killer. The lack of blood at the crime scene meant investigators never located the actual murder site, a critical piece of evidence that remained elusive throughout the case. Corruption and incompetence within the Los Angeles Police Department, well documented during this era, further hampered progress, with some records mysteriously going missing over the years. Rival detectives pursued conflicting theories, and jurisdictional disputes between agencies added to the chaos. By the early 1950s, the case had effectively gone cold, though it was never officially closed, leaving a haunting void where justice should have been. Over the decades, countless theories have emerged attempting to solve the Black Dahlia murder, ranging from plausible to outlandish. Author Steve Hodel famously proposed that his own father, Dr. George Hodel, a physician with surgical skill and known ties to the Hollywood elite, was the true killer, pointing to disturbing family photographs and alleged confessions. Other theories implicated mobsters, jealous lovers, and even fellow victims of unsolved murders from the same era, suggesting a possible serial killer connection. Some researchers believe the killer had medical training, given the precise bisection of the body, while others argue the wounds could have been inflicted by someone with butchering experience. Despite decades of amateur sleuthing, books, documentaries, and podcasts dedicated to cracking the case, no theory has ever been proven beyond reasonable doubt, keeping the mystery frustratingly alive. The Black Dahlia murder transcended its status as a mere unsolved crime to become a permanent fixture in American popular culture and true crime mythology. James Ellroy's acclaimed 1987 novel The Black Dahlia reimagined the case through noir fiction, later adapted into a 2006 film starring Josh Hartnett and Scarlett Johansson. Countless documentaries, podcasts, and television specials have revisited the case, each offering new angles or reviving old suspects. The murder has become symbolic of a darker side of Hollywood's golden age, representing the vulnerability of young women drawn to the city's glittering promises. Los Angeles tour guides still point out locations connected to the case, and true crime enthusiasts continue visiting the site where Short's body was discovered. The Black Dahlia has essentially become an enduring symbol of unsolved American mysteries. Nearly 8 decades later, the murder of Elizabeth Short remains officially unsolved, a cold case file gathering dust in LAPD archives alongside boxes of evidence, photographs, and confessions. Every few years, new claims surface, whether from amateur investigators, journalists, or descendants of long-dead suspects, each promising fresh insight into the crime, yet none bringing definitive closure. The original detectives who worked the case have long since passed away, taking whatever private theories or suspicions they harbored to their graves. Elizabeth Short herself, once a hopeful young woman dreaming of stardom, is remembered today almost entirely through the horror of her death rather than the life she lived. Her case stands as a haunting reminder of how a single, brutal act can echo through generations, leaving unanswered questions, endless speculation, and a chilling void where truth and justice should have been.